Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. My name is Edith and I am a holistic health coach specializing in plant-based nutrition and in helping you to get to the root cause of your chronic illness symptoms. In my last video, I went over the three main root causes for your chronic illness symptoms. And in that video, I shared that I will create 3 other videos where I can go more into depth on each one of those root causes. And so this video is dedicated to root cause number 1, in which I believe that you have reached your toxin load limit in your physical body. And in order for you to heal, you have to change your diet and you have to partake in some cleansing in order to move those toxins out of your body so that your body can heal itself. And before I get any further, I just want to go over what I think chronic illness is. So chronic illness is essentially any kind of an ailment that you're experiencing on an ongoing basis. So it's not an acute injury. For example, it's not you breaking your leg. It is something else that is creating a problem for you on an ongoing basis. So it's bothering you daily, maybe even hourly, and most certainly weekly. And maybe you've gone to multiple doctors, maybe you've sought treatment, maybe you've tried pharmaceuticals, but nothing has really improved or alleviated your symptoms. And so these conditions are anything under the autoimmune condition umbrella, any kind of digestive issues, any kind of skin issues, even mental health issues such as anxiety or depression. So if you are interested in healing all naturally, then you are in the right place. And so I'm going to get into this video in terms of what I believe toxins are and how they get stored in your body, and then we'll get into the solutions in terms of how you can cleanse to heal. So unfortunately, we live in a world where we are exposed to toxins on an ongoing basis. Some of it is within our control, some of it is not within our control. And so that's why it's important to know what you can do to heal, so that you can help yourself be successful, or as successful as you can, even with things that are out of your control. And so toxins are, I have some notes here, so I'll be looking down just to make sure that I'm covering everything. So toxins are any kind of chemicals, so toxic fragrances, any kind of chemicals like paint, gasoline. There's probably thousands of chemicals. I won't be able to list them all here for you, but all of them are a burden to your physical body. Pathogens, including viruses and bacteria, those are all burdensome to your body, and they are one of the main contributors to disease. DDT is still in our environment, unfortunately, and radiation. We live in a world where we are relying on technology for a variety of things that we do throughout our days, and so we're constantly being exposed to radiation. And just so you know, I'm getting this information from the Medical Medium series books. I follow his advice when it comes to health and nutrition, simply because it resonates with me. And I feel like I have the ability to discern really well, to be able to tell which information is correct, which information is not correct. And for me, this information is definitely correct in this regard. And I've seen thousands of people heal on his page, and also I've experienced it myself in my own physical body. So that is why I am referring to this information here. So as I said, we live in a world where we are taking in these toxins on an ongoing basis, and some are within our control, some are not within our control. And so one of the ways that we can take in these toxins is through our air. When we go outside, we could be inhaling toxins. So this depends on your area, and every area is going to be slightly different. What I always recommend is checking the air quality index before you go outside, especially if you are exercising. I happen to live in the Pacific Northwest. We have excellent air quality up here. I absolutely love that up here. And I would say 99% of the time, the air quality here is very good. But I've lived in areas, for example, Phoenix, the air quality there is significantly worse. And it just depends on where you live. I definitely recommend checking, and then also just be smart. You know, I wouldn't go running next to a busy street where there's constant cars and their exhaust is coming into my lungs. So make sure that you are smart in terms of where you are exercising and taking as much precaution as you possibly can so that you are not inhaling as many toxins as you could. Okay, so find the cleanest air areas that you can partake your exercise activities in, and be smart about when you're going out, check the air quality index. And so the air quality is also going to impact you in your home. I have an air doctor. It's actually right over there in my living room. I can show you in another video, and I'll have a link to it in the description box below. It is an affiliate link and it will give you a significant discount, so definitely check that out if you don't already have an air purifier in your home. I highly recommend having an air purifier in your home because there are toxins in your house. I'm sure that your house has been painted. Paint has chemicals in it. That paint is off-gassing. You are inhaling that off-gassing. Same with your furniture. If there are chemicals in your furniture, which most likely there are, that is also off-gassing. So you can be taking in those chemicals. So it's really important to have the cleanest air, and that's one way that you can lower your toxin load. And that's one way that we take in toxins. Another way that we can take in toxins is obviously through our water and our food. In terms of water, I have an AquaTrue reverse osmosis water filter here. There is no perfect water, unfortunately. Everything's been somewhat contaminated. So what I always recommend for clients is to pick a water filter or water filtration source that they feel comfortable with, that they can afford. Now, if money is not an issue, I think the highest quality water is spring water. However, a lot of the springs have been contaminated, and so you want to make sure that if you are harvesting spring water to drink, that you are able to test the toxicity in the spring water, or you then take that spring water and filter that before you drink it. Or obviously purchasing bottled water, however, then you're constantly having to recycle all of those bottles, which gets to be a lot. But I would never ever drink tap water. So tap water is full of toxins. There's pharmaceutical drugs in there, there's aluminum, heavy metals, fluoride, there's all sorts of nasties in the tap water. And this again is going to be different depending on which area you live in. But no matter which area you live in, I would never ever drink tap water, okay? So that's one way that you would be taking in toxins, obviously through the food system. So if you are eating produce like I do for most of my meals, then I definitely recommend eating as much organic produce as you possibly can. So trying to make the best purchasing choices. And again, this depends on your ability in terms of finances. So this, do the best that you can. I can't always buy organic, but I do the best that I can. And I also refer to the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 when making my buying decisions. So for example, if I'm purchasing leafy greens, those will always be on the Dirty Dozen list, and that means that leafy greens will have more toxicity, more chemicals, more pesticides, herbicides, fungicides sprayed on them if they are conventional. So when you're buying leafy greens, you want to get those organic. Same with strawberries or any kind of berries, essentially. But anyway, I would buy organic as much as you can, and if you can't afford it, refer to the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 lists, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. Then If you're buying anything other than produce, I definitely recommend trying to limit your processed foods, trying to limit your animal food intake, because those are going to have significantly more toxins in them than produce. Definitely read ingredient labels. I always look for less than 5 ingredients in any kind of a packaged food item that I purchase, and I try to avoid, I actually don't even really buy much packaged food besides maybe some bulk grains or legumes. But read your ingredient labels if you are someone who does purchase packaged foods. And if you're consuming animal foods, definitely get the highest quality organic. I don't recommend consuming animal foods, but I don't only work with vegans, so bear with me if you're vegan. But if you are omnivore, I definitely recommend getting the cleanest source as possible. So wild caught, grass finished, pasture raised, do the best that you can, and try to lower your intake of these foods. Okay, because you are going to be taking in the toxins that these animals consumed, in addition to antibiotics, in addition to their hormones, in addition to their suffering energy. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But if you're gonna consume them, I'm not here to convince you not to. I'm here to help you make the best choices that you can with where you currently are in your life. Okay, so far we've talked about you're taking in toxins in the air, in the water, in the food, and those are probably the main sources. But also you want to be cognizant of any kind of air fresheners, perfumes, colognes. These are highly toxic substances, so I would avoid these things at all costs. I would definitely not use any kind of perfume, cologne, or air freshener. I would switch to essential oils. That's what I do, and I don't use any air fresheners. I just let air in, and I burn sage and Palo Santo to freshen the air and clean it out. But please do not use those if you are suffering from chronic illness, because they will only aggravate your symptoms. And I know if you're new to this type of information, that might seem a little bit odd, but just trust me here. I know you can't see those chemicals. They are invisible to the naked eye. However, they are in the air. They're very, very small. I mean, just like if you go outside, you're not going to see the toxicity in the air unless it's like a dark smoke, right? But you're still inhaling it. So just be really careful. And if you need proof, all you need to do is just observe the symptoms in your body. Typically, these types of things will create a headache. So if you're inhaling anything like toxic fragrances, I remember when I was young and I used to wear perfume, anytime I would go to the perfume stores, I would get such a big headache. And remember, they have like those coffee beans there for you to smell to help alleviate that. But every single time I would get horrible headaches. And if I was in the car with someone who had on strong perfume, I would get headaches and even stomach aches sometimes. So that's your body telling you this isn't good for us. Okay, stop inhaling it. So tell your friends, tell your loved ones to give up their perfume and cologne, because it is very, very unhealthy. Okay, I think I'll stop there in terms of the chemicals, pathogens. So any kind of viruses or bacteria. Unfortunately, some of this is out of our control as well. Essentially, anytime you've had relations with a romantic partner, you've taken on whatever pathogen or virus they have in their physical body. It is impossible to avoid, okay? You can also take these pathogens in by going to a restaurant. If the chef or the people preparing your food were not careful, maybe they didn't wash their hands, maybe they cut themselves, now their pathogen or their virus is in your food. By pathogen, in addition to virus, I'm also referring to bacteria, so like E. coli, any kind of harmful bacteria. So all of these things are going to burden your physical body. And I think I'll move on to where this burden goes. Okay, so I've learned through these books. I've read every single book, by the way, every single medical medium book, so I'm very much informed. But the liver is the main organ that helps to alleviate toxins from our body. And unfortunately, the liver takes on the burden of storing these toxins within itself when it cannot purge the toxins. And unfortunately, the liver cannot purge these toxins unless you create a condition where the liver feels safe and is able to purge these toxins. So the liver is the main organ that is working on our behalf to keep us safe, to keep us healthy. And when we are taking in an abundance of these toxins and we have not created an environment within our physical body through the foods that we are eating to give the liver what it needs to be able to safely detox, unfortunately the liver will store these toxins within itself, and some of these also get stored in your fat cells. It's really important to understand what foods you need to consume in order to create that safe environment for your liver to be able to purge these toxins. After the liver has reached its toxin load limit, and this is going to be different for everyone, so we come into these physical bodies with toxins already that we unfortunately get from our parents. That's why some babies are born sick. So a lot of people wonder, how could this baby be sick? They haven't even, lived and taken in toxins. But they do take on toxins just by being born because it's passed on through the parents, through the genome. So it's really important, if you are having kids, that you cleanse your physical body so that you do not pass on your toxin load and burden your child. And so in order for us to support our livers, we have to change our diet. We have to start cleansing. And if you've read the books, you already know what I'm going to say, but I imagine most of you have not read the books because they are very thick textbooks. Most people do not take the time to read. And it's really important to have the answers so that you can make the necessary changes. So first and foremost, what we need to do is lower our fat intake. So when we consume dietary fats, the liver has to produce what's called bile in order to break down those fats so that they can get distributed to the appropriate place. And this is a burdensome task. This is not an easy task. So especially if you have a lot of toxins in your physical body and in your liver. And so basically what you're asking your liver to do, because the liver is also in charge of digestion, and basically what you're asking your liver to do is stop doing what it's wanting to do and go and create this bile and then excrete the bile to be able to break down those fats. So you're adding an extra task to the liver, which the liver already has a ton of tasks. You do not need to add more tasks to the liver. So most people in today's world are eating a diet that is very high in dietary fat. And now there is a trend to eat high protein, but most protein sources come with fat. And so it's actually not the best way to eat. And I also want to mention that anytime you see some sort of a trend or something that the majority of the people are recommending in terms of diet, I would do the opposite of that. I would say 90% of the time, what most people are doing is not the appropriate thing to do for your physical body. And that's because most trends and most advice is coming from a place of wanting to earn money. And so because of that, a lot of it is going to be skewed. Because you can't really make money by telling people to eat broccoli, right? But you can make money by selling all sorts of different products to people that are gonna be high protein or high fat or artificial in some way. That's how people make money. And unfortunately, it's not to the benefit of your physical body. And also, I don't want to get too much into it. I don't know exactly what is okay on here or not, but there's just a lot of corruption in our world. and there's industries that are benefiting from you not being well. And so they're going to perpetuate a lot of false information to get you to eat in a certain way that's going to create these chronic illness symptoms. And then they're going to prescribe pharmaceuticals to help you heal, which actually don't help you heal. They actually create more problems. So I would say you've really got to have the ability to discern and see what is true for yourself and for your physical body, and make the best choices for yourself, and not what people are telling you to do, and not what 90% of the people are doing. Because if you look at 90% of the people, most of them are overweight and sick and suffering from these chronic illness symptoms. And most of them probably don't even know it or don't even realize it. They just think it's normal, but it's not normal, okay? And if you're here, you already know that. So number one, you've got to lower your fat intake. And number two, you've got to eat an abundance of antioxidants, an abundance of fruits and vegetables and herbs that are full of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, healing properties, life force energy frequencies, and those are going to support your liver and give your liver the opportunity to purge these toxins so that the rest of your physical body can heal itself. Okay, so number one, lower the fat intake. Number two, eat a ton of antioxidants. And then I would say number three is hydration. Hydration is very important, and you're gonna cover hydration by eating an abundance of antioxidants. However, it's still important to drink fresh juices, living water. So unfortunately, the water that I was referring to earlier, it's not necessarily going to hydrate you. Most of our water is dead unless you're getting fresh living spring water. However, if you add fresh lemon juice, I've got my lemon water here, that's gonna add some life force to your water, and it's gonna add antioxidants, and it's going to add healing properties to your water, and that's gonna help to hydrate you. Making fresh juices is very, very hydrating. I make juice every single morning. I do not skip a day unless I'm traveling and do not have access to my juicer or obtaining fresh juice. And then consuming as much raw food as you possibly can, because when you're cooking your food, which I do eat cooked food, but when you're cooking your food, you're losing a lot of that hydration. You're losing a lot of those healing properties from the fruits and the vegetables. So eat as much raw food as possible. I currently consume about 75 to 80% raw food, and in the summer I'm closer to 90% raw food, and I'll have times where I will be fully raw in the summertime. However, the cleanse that I recommend in Cleanse to Heal is fully raw. And I think I'll get into that now. So in addition to changing your diet by crowding out as much of the animal foods, as much of the processed foods as possible, and taking in as many fruits and vegetables and as much in their raw form as possible, is going to benefit you. But I understand that we have to enjoy our lives. We have to enjoy our food. We're not going to be able to be completely fat-free and completely raw all the time. So do the best that you can in your day-to-day diet. My day-to-day diet consists of lemon water in the morning. I'll do the celery juice after that, and then typically I will do a smoothie. And when I am not cleansing, I will add some vegan protein powder to my smoothie. And after that, after the smoothie, I will maybe have a second smoothie, or I'll have oatmeal, or I'll have chia pudding, or lately I've been baking some really delicious breads that are oil-free, and the only fat that they have in them are flax seeds. I might have that with avocado on it, maybe some hummus, microgreens, and then dinner is usually a salad with some cooked vegetables, sometimes tempeh, and then sometimes beans, once in a while tofu, but that's kind of like my day-to-day diet. And then I like to do a cleanse at least once a quarter. Lately I've been doing, I would say 2 per quarter. but at least one per quarter. But if you are dealing with chronic illness and you're in a flare, I would cleanse until that flare is gone. I would cleanse until those symptoms have alleviated. I actually recently was infected with a virus in January, and I had to cleanse for an entire month before I was able to introduce my day-to-day foods, because that's how long it took to get rid of it. So you've got to be the judge for yourself, and you are your own healer. I'm just here sharing information, but I can help guide you through it. So I offer one-on-one coaching. And if you're interested in working with me, you can email me. I'll have my email down in the description below. I can help guide you through any one of these cleanses. I've done most of them. I really love to do the 369 cleanse, and I do the advanced myself, which is fully raw. However, there is the original and the simplified cleanse in here, which allows you to consume steamed vegetables, I think avocado, and some oatmeal and millet. Millet is a grain similar to oats. So you can consume some of those foods, I think, on the first 3 days. And if you are an omnivore, you can consume some animal foods, I think, on the first 3 days of the 369. And then after that, it's all plant-based. So I highly recommend partaking in one of these cleanses. I'll have the link to this book in the description below, and I can help guide you through it, okay? And so when you're doing these cleanses, you are taking the burden off of the liver by not consuming these dietary fats and high proteins, and you're taking in an abundance of antioxidants and life force energy and hydrating properties that will support the liver so that the liver can purge these toxins so that you can release them. And when you are releasing these toxins, you are giving your body the opportunity to heal itself, and you will notice a huge difference. Your symptoms will go away. This virus that I was infected with was strong, and I'd never experienced anything like that before. I did not take any pain medicine. I did not take any pharmaceuticals. I simply followed the protocol here, and then I did a juice cleanse for, I want to say, 9 days. And I completely healed. I got rid of all of my symptoms, and it was very uncomfortable because when you're doing things naturally, you will have to go through it, okay? So you're gonna feel the pain, you're gonna feel the symptoms, and it's gonna be a slower process than if you do use pharmaceuticals. However, if you use pharmaceuticals, just know that they come with heavy metals in them. So heavy metals are part of the chemicals, part of the toxins that you take in that create problems for your liver. And so you're essentially adding to the problem when you use pharmaceuticals. They also have all sorts of nasty things in them. I can't even believe that they are safe to hand out. Well, I can because of the corruption in our world. But anyway, sometimes the right way to heal is a little bit more uncomfortable, but in the long run, you're going to benefit so much, and you're going to be so grateful that you chose that path. And this gives us the power. This gives us the power back because we now have the answers. We now know what we can do to heal our physical bodies and alleviate these toxins and address the problem from the root cause. So this is one of the 3 root causes to why you have chronic illness, is you have too much toxicity in your physical body. And so by making these diet changes that I've briefly gone through here, you can heal. And if you do need some guidance, some assistance, email me. I also, in addition to just the one-on-one coaching, like longer term programs that I offer, you can hire me to guide you through just the 9-day cleanse. Okay, so I can hold your hand through it. I will even do it with you. I have no problem doing that. So feel free to email me. I am happy to help you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments or email me. And in the description, I will have links to all of my affiliates, including my juicer, which I highly recommend you start juicing. Juicing is probably the number one diet change that I would recommend implementing now, because it is that powerful. And when you're juicing, you need to do it on an empty stomach, and in the morning is best rather than afternoon or evening when you've already consumed meals. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave it there. Stay tuned for video number 2, which is going to talk about root cause number 2 in terms of why you might have chronic illness. And that's going to be all about trauma that you've experienced and helping you to alleviate that trauma and trapped emotion in your physical and energetic body. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.